Welcome to another episode of The Corner Booth, the official podcast of restaurantowner.com. Today, the restaurant industry is changing faster than ever. Learn from successful independent restaurant operators and other industry leaders as they share best practices that will help you engage your team, delight your guests, and grow your business.
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Corner Booth. I'm Chris Tripoli with restaurantowner.com. And today we're going to talk about a topic that I know a lot of you have on your mind, and that is the creation of and the management of multiple concepts. We've got a tremendous, well-established hospitality group co-founder joining us today to tell her story and share the story of the Southerleigh Hospitality Group. Let's welcome Allison Balfour, co-founder of Southerleigh Hospitality Group. Allison, thanks so much for taking some time and welcome to Corner Booth.
Great to be here. Thank you, Chris.
Well, this is going to be fun. A lot of the people that I worked with, in fact, at one time myself, was a small independent company and growing by doing different concepts. Those are unique challenges. They obviously have some tremendous successes, but they also have some unique hurdles that others that are having one concept and growing don't necessarily have. But before we get to that, maybe you can just tell the listeners a little bit about you. What got you interested in hospitality to begin with? Who were your early influences and how did you get started?
It was really just kind of out of necessity. When I was in college, I needed to get a job to get myself through school and to pay bills and just make some ends meet. And I got a job at the Omni in downtown Austin as a hostess in their restaurant. And they had these opera singers that would sing during their brunch. And that was really my first experience in hospitality. I loved it. My boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, he was kind of in the same boat. He was in room service there. And we decided that, Austin and UT wasn't a great fit for either one of us. And we were really enjoying working in the restaurant, in the hotel, and love the people and just kind of the vibe and the energy and meeting new people and all of that. And so we decided to move to Houston. And he really wanted to become a chef. And at the time, Austin was not the culinary destination that it is today. You had Jeffrey's and Chewy's, and those are the best ones. Those were pretty much the best restaurants at the time back then. This is
I remember
the mid 90s. It was a minute ago. And so we transferred to the Omni in Austin and went to the University of Houston.
Great.
And I worked there for about a year. And after a year, I looked at moving over to the other Five Diamond property there in Houston, which was the Four Seasons. And I was at the Four Seasons for about 6 years, doing all front of house stuff. I got out of restaurants for a minute and was doing front desk. I was a front desk manager, and then I was the spa manager there. And then I think one of my favorite jobs I've ever had I was a concierge there. Really loved that job. So much fun. And while we were there, actually we got married, and the day our first baby was being born, got a call from some people that we had worked with in Houston, and they were building a new new luxury hotel on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. And so, they said, hey, do you want to come move to San Antonio? We just bought our first house in Houston just a couple of months before. We were literally on our way to the hospital to have our daughter. And he said, well, and it was right after 9/11. It was just a few months after 9/11. And we thought it was a pretty interesting time to be opening a new hotel, but they wanted me to go into sales. They wanted him to be executive chef. And we thought, well, this is a really great opportunity. Let's figure this out. And so we did. And that was 23 years ago. So we've been in San Antonio for 23 years. We were at that hotel for over 10 years. And I did sales there. We decided since we had a young family that, and childcare was really difficult. We were both doing shift work at the time, and this was a good opportunity for us to kind of figure out how to manage our family, and have a career at the same time. And so
Sure.
I did a kind of a banker's hours 9 to 5 sales job, and then didn't see Jeff a whole lot. He tried hard, he really did, but I knew that it was going to be like that for a while until we got going.
Sure.
And while we were there, we were they called him up. The people at Silver Ventures called him up and said, "Hey, you want to come take a look at some spaces at the Pearl?" Where they were developing this area that had just been kind of forgotten. And you drove by it and you didn't walk through it. It was just a bad part of town. And Kit Goldsberry, he purchased it, and he had this amazing vision of having these local chefs and retail and kind of a culinary destination, a really amazing, incredible vision that he had.
Absolutely. And it just turned out beautifully.
Beautiful. So he brought the CIA, Culinary Institute of America, in, and started opening restaurants, and really just provided this opportunity for us to open a spectacular restaurant. We'd always kind of dreamt of having a place, a restaurant, but we had no idea what this was going to be, that this opportunity would come up. And of course, we just grabbed onto it. And that was 2013 that we started working on that. I left the hotel and went and got in the tech business for a second. I did 5 years at Rackspace as an account manager, just to kind of make sure that we still had some stability and insurance and things like that. We had 2 kids by that time, and growing family. And he got too busy and developed this amazing concept of Southerleigh Fine Food and Brewery.
So that was the first location, and it was developed. I am familiar with that area, and I think it's exactly as you described it. This was sort of an older, forgotten part of San Antonio, close to the Riverwalk, but not really attractive for people who aren't familiar. That Pearl area, named after the Pearl Brewery, the Pearl beer, then became a focal point because it was just so well done, as many developers do in different cities. Take an opportunity, try to pay tribute to the history, take these beautiful old buildings and give entrepreneurs an opportunity. That's exactly what happened there. So what a story. What a story. Before we get into the first concept, and then obviously how you grew into a family of restaurants, maybe you could comment on the unique perspective that you may have brought to restaurants coming from hotels. I have talked with some people that went the other way, that were starting in food service, got into the business of hotels because there's so much more going on when you're also talking about sales and events, rooms, et cetera. And you went the other way around. So what were some of the advantages, do you think, that you were able to take from that experience into your small independent restaurant company?
Well, I think that the reason we stuck with hotels for so long was for the stability, because back then, if you were working for an independent restaurant, it was very unlikely that you had, benefits, like medical benefits and things
That's
like
true.
that. And we wanted a family, and we wanted to make sure that we had security. And I just loved the hotels because you worked with people from all over the world. You interacted with guests from all over the world,
Yeah.
especially in Houston. It's such a diverse community there, and that was really exciting for me. And you gained so many different perspectives, and just the diversity alone, and the different different ethnicities, and that's the reason why I loved working there. And when we
Yeah.
opened an independent concept, we wanted to create a community for people that I mean, the restaurant business, you've got so many different backgrounds and so many different people.
Hmm.
And the most of the time, the people who are working there are looking for connection and friends and a family.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to create a secure place for people to want to work. And I got that. I
Good
got that
point.
from Rackspace, and I don't know
Mhm.
if people out there are familiar with the culture that they had when they were, when I was there back in the 2010s, and when it was booming, and it just really made me appreciate the people and the culture and how important that
Mhm.
is to keep people. And we've got people that have been working with us for decades now because I
That's
think
what I
we,
was, see,
yeah,
that's what I was thinking you were going to say. I mean, because that's what I would assume from a hotel, larger base, more people, service culture, a little more stable benefits than if you can take that
exactly.
essence of that into an independent restaurant company, then you really have something. Good for you.
And I think we've done a good job with that. Our partners, our partners come have backgrounds in hotels as well.
Hmm.
And I think that has done a lot to create this unique culture that the whole group has put out there for the for the world, and it's a draw. It's a draw for people because you don't want to go to a place where you're constantly working with somebody new, and a lot of times the people that we hire, it doesn't work out. They don't necessarily appreciate it or need it, or whatever it is. But I think we've been in business for, gosh, in April it'll be 12 years. And
Yeah.
I think what we've created is very special and unique. And I think other people will say that too.
Well, let's now jump into that first one. So, 12 years ago, Southerleigh Brewing Company, first restaurant. Can you describe it a little bit for the listeners? It's full service, lunch.
Full, it's full service. We're open for lunch and dinner during the week and brunch and dinner during the weekend. We're open 7 days a week. I think what we have a very unique menu. Jeff and I grew up in Galveston, and you will Galvestonians that come, they love to have the shrimp boil and that cracker crusted redfish, and the snapper throats that we're so famous for. And people really that are from the coast appreciate it. The people that are not from the coast are shocked at how amazing it is. And it's a friendly atmosphere. People dress up when they come, or they come in shorts. It's very kid friendly, or it is what you make it. And it's very. I think our level of hospitality is incredible. We've got some great people that just create those experiences for our guests. It really is the whole thing. You've got the great food and the great service. We brew beer on site. We're actually a brewery there, and that's a lot of fun for people to try our new beers.
And that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah, I was going to say, so obviously that takes a talent. You probably had an excellent person in charge of just the brew.
Absolutely. We do not know. I mean, we're not beer people, quite honestly, and that's our dirty little secret. And we had to find somebody that is. And
Hmm.
our brewer, JC, is fantastic. He's smart. He is passionate. And he loves what he does, and he puts out an amazing product. I mean, I'm not a beer drinker, but I love his beers. Very approachable, all of them. It's a lot of fun to try the new stuff he puts out.
And I really like that sort of that Texas style that you were describing that is more of a Galveston seafood led concept. I think people's first vision, if they're talking about from Texas and we're doing a Texas style concept with brew, they're jumping to either Southern style food, chicken fried steaks, grilling, or barbecue.
Right.
The idea of the, Gulf Coast seafood infused direction is nice. And been there. I know you're doing well. Love it. Everyone who is listening needs to go pay attention and go find Southerly Brewing Company when you're in San Antonio.
Southerleigh Fine Food and Brewery. Yeah, and we do have a lot of Galveston, that Gulf Coast flair, but I mean, we call ourselves Texas cross-cultural because
That's good.
you're going to find a little bit of everything. But the other thing that we really excel at is our oysters. We have an incredible oyster program. Aaron, our chef there gosh, I guess it's called an oyster sommelier. I should have done my research before I got in here. But there's only a handful of these certified oyster sommeliers in Texas, and now we have. Before we had the clunky Gulf oysters, looked like big rocks, and the meat was huge and all that. Now we've got, and you'd have to get those smaller, with the smaller, more delicate shells, you'd have to bring in the East Coast oysters. Well, now we have oysters that are very similar to their East Coast cousins that are sustainable and farmed right here in Texas. So that's an exciting new thing that we have going on there too.
Okay, so we've got the first concept, good base concept, full service, full bar.
Right.
We got the brewmaster, so it's working. So then, where do you go from there? How did the light bulb blink to say we've got something special here? Let's go create more concepts.
Well, it's funny. We don't necessarily go out looking for opportunities. We pay attention to opportunities that come our way, and we always have the conversation. If somebody says, "Hey, I'd love to do something with you," we always have the conversation. And we did have one concept that we started to work on that kind of lost its way during COVID, but we were sad to see that one go. We were really excited. It was going to be over in Brooks on the south side of San Antonio, and there's so much going on down there, but that just didn't pan out. But we found another opportunity. We actually, in 2020, in the middle of COVID, we opened two new concepts, one in September and one in December of that year. And it was, the timing of obviously could have been better, but it was two projects, two concepts that kind of had started to take shape in the years prior to that. And that's when we opened Southerleigh Oat South, which is out at the Rim here in San Antonio, and that opened in September and then of 2020. And then we also opened Brasserie Mon Chouchou in December of that same year out at the Pearl. So we have two concepts out at the Pearl. And, Oat South is just one of those concepts that it's another one that's close to our heart. Very casual Southern food. How you could get a little feel of our restaurant down at the Pearl at Southerleigh up at the Rim, but it's just a little more casual, still full service, full bar, and then Brasserie Mon Chouchou. It was a natural fit for us because we've got a couple of partners that are French, and it was their dream to open a French restaurant. And so we hired an amazing chef, Laurent Rea, to come in and to head that one up. And Laurent and Jeff put together a very classic brasserie menu that has really been popular here in San Antonio with visitors and locals alike. It's a beautiful restaurant, and they've got delicious food. I mean, we took the family to France back in a few years back, and it is as authentic as they come. So
That's beautiful.
very proud of that restaurant as well. Yeah.
So not only did we open two concepts very close, September, December, so that means obviously you were working on the design, the construction, you went through finance, training of staff, menu development simultaneously.
A lot of stuff happening. That was a crazy time of our lives in the middle of COVID. Yeah.
I was going to say, and COVID. Okay, then we open and it's COVID. So
Yeah.
how did that work? Were you opened with just limited outdoor seating, everything curbside pickup, or what?
No. So, well, we had to shut Southerleigh down for a couple of months. in March of 2020. And then we were allowed to open in May with 50% capacity in our dining rooms. And so we did the same thing with our new concepts. We still weren't allowed to have our full dining room opened. But we were, we had outdoor seating. We still have outdoor seating on both. And we have a very, at the time we had a very strong to go business, and just did the best we could with what we were allowed to do at the time, and survived it. And it's we just you just in this business, COVID or not, you just have to be very resilient and be ready to pivot and figure out not only what the customer wants, but what you're allowed to do, because laws are changing and not always for the better. And really during that time, it was difficult to kind of navigate through all of that. But, we were able to hire all of our staff back at Southerleigh eventually.
Great.
And that was huge. And, then we were also able to move some of them to the new concepts, which was great. And, we have a really great program. A lot of our managers, in fact, I can't even think of a manager that we have right now that hasn't moved up in the ranks.
Good.
And been with us for years.
Mhm.
And so we kind of have those people, even today, have those people just ready to go. If we have a new opportunity that comes along, just ready to go to move into those leadership positions. And so that was really helpful at the time.
I just want to underline that because I hear that from people that I believe expand successfully, that it sort of starts with bench strength. You start with people.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's the second time that you mentioned that we've got a good team of people. So if you've got the people and you're confident in the leadership, then it can prompt you to commit to moving forward, create a new concept, commit to the lease. And I think that's something that our listeners need to note, because too many times we hear of success in growth for the numbers, growth to fill the opportunity. And so you're running, gunning, finding the places, excited, signing the leases. And then, of course, turning into, now who are we going to hire and how can we get them into training so that they can be ready for the opening? Ouch, that's a bit of a gamble. You obviously are doing it more from let's create our bench strength and
Absolutely.
have the people first. Good for you.
That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it because, Jeff, if he was in the kitchen all the time, we would not be able to scale the way we have. And so we have great chefs where they need to be, and and the cooks coming up behind them. And the same with front of the house, right? We've got amazing managers that are developing our servers and getting them ready for bigger and better things. And these are people that have, for lack of a better way of putting it, they drank the Kool-Aid and they love what we do and they believe in what we do. And honestly, when you hear us thank our team, we could not do it without them. There's no way that we could do what we do without the people in the places that they're working right now.
Excellent. Okay, so that kind of gets us, now we're through COVID and we've got a few concepts working. You've got two of them there at the Pearl.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we have three now.
I was going to say, what comes next? Because I know we have more. We haven't even talked yet about your catering company. I want to get into that because a lot of people do that. But let's talk about the third concept now that winds up at Pearl. Did it happen right after COVID or later?
No, we just acquired the boiler house this year at the end of May. So so we've got those three concepts now, and boiler house is it's more of a Texas Hill Country restaurant. People kind of ask, well, Southerleigh and Boiler House, they're kind of similar, but they're really not. They're very different. And the menus are different. The whole concept is different. And I think we've done a good job at creating those differences and separating the two. So it's not,
Yes.
I think we've done a good job at that.
And this was a restaurant that you acquired? Is this something that you took over? Or is this something that was a space and you created from scratch?
No, it was we took it over. It was I want to say it opened around the same time we did, if not a little bit before we opened Southerleigh.
Hmm.
Same owner for the whole time. I believe that owner retired or just, for whatever reason was just didn't want to operate that particular concept anymore, and so we said we would.
Good for you.
Yeah.
How large are your restaurants typically? It's because size seems to be an issue that everyone is talking about. How can I create volume but manage my occupancy costs? How can I be more efficient? Because we're afraid of the ongoing costs of operation. So, what size do you normally shoot for with these concepts?
Well, for those, we've got about 120 seats, I'd say, give
Hmm.
or take, for each of them. Hot South is a little bit smaller. We tend to build very tiny kitchens, because the more seats we can get in the dining room, the better.
Hmm.
But that seems to be the sweet spot for us. And then plus we have great outdoor seating. It's that sometimes that's to our advantage and sometimes it's not. It just depends. San Antonio in particular, the San Antonians don't like to get out if the weather's too hot or too cold or too rainy or too windy.
Hmm.
So sometimes the patios are packed and sometimes they're, you know,
But though that's a pretty good rule of thumb, though, to try to make sure that you can maximize your seating within the space, be very efficient in your non-income producing space, and
exactly.
utilize outside as much as possible. Um,
Right.
but with today's consumers, are you also finding that you're driving yourself more than ever before with things like curbside, carside pickup, or ordering online, third party delivery?
A little bit. We don't get as much as we used to. And that could be I mean, honestly, that could be our fault too. We don't push it a whole lot, because we stay pretty busy with our diners in house. But we still do get a little bit. I know my colleagues that really push the online orders and the Uber Eats and the to-go stuff. They still do a really, really good business with that ever since we were forced to do that back in 2020. But that's honestly, that's not something that we've really focused on the last couple of years. Our
Oh.
concept out at the Rim, Southerly South, gets a little bit more of that to-go business than we do at the Pearl.
Well, see, and that's understandable. If the concept is really based on on-site hospitality, especially if there's a brewmaster, especially if there's sipping, tasting, drinking, it doesn't really equate as much to the place I think about when I want to do Uber Eats. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, but I could still see that you would still have, just because I bet you have a loyal following that once in a while isn't ready to go out, or there's a reason why they can't. But we've now seen to be a convenience-driven customer base. So when we want to order at home, it isn't like it used to be years ago. I guess I'll have
Right.
to settle on a pizza or go to my favorite, Asian restaurant because they deliver.
So many options out there now.
Exactly. Now it's like I want anything. I want
And,
anything and everything, but I still want it delivered.
and some food just doesn't do well to go.
Mhm.
Like our fried chicken, it's much better in house. I will say that it's crispier. It's delicious. I mean, it's the best fried chicken that you'll ever have. But you take it home, it's going to get a little soggy, And don't snapper
Understand?
throats. Do not order the snapper throats to go. That will not work. There's just some things that don't work. But like I said, the menu at the Rim, a location at the Rim, absolutely does work very well that way.
So, how do we approach marketing, brand management when you're a company of different concepts?
I'm not a marketing expert. One of my partners is much better at that than I am. But I mean, as far as branding goes, we we hired experts for that too. I think we have done a really good job of finding people that are smarter than us in those areas that have done a beautiful job at creating the, Southerleigh branding and shoo and all of that. I'll tell you, as far as marketing goes, I mean, it is social media all the way for us. It's so important to get out there, and we've done TikTok videos that have spiked our sales, and it's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's incredible what it does when you really put time into those reels and the trends and all that. I'm speaking like a Gen Xer right now, but I don't do all of that. I don't do all of that,
No,
but I know that it's
actually,
important that we do.
what I'm hearing is you're speaking like an operator that just understands your customer base. And I hope people are underlining that too, because too many times we jump into this business, and just because we are the final decision maker, we're the owner, partner, co-founder, we seem to think that we're supposed to be good at everything, or we seem to think that we're supposed to decide everything. So what I've been hearing from you is to form that team, know what you do, surround yourself with professionals that know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and so that works. That's kind of the next thing I'd love to talk about a little bit. Could you describe really your role and your team? You've mentioned that you've got a really good, successful base of partners. So maybe you could discuss a little bit about how you're structured, what you do, and who does what.
Yeah, so the best way I can put it is that my husband Jeff, he really is the visionary behind what we do, and his mind is amazing at knowing what menus work and what how to create a very balanced menu, and how to what concepts would go well in certain locations and what won't work well, and who the customer will be and who we're really serving. And then I'm really good at at poking holes in those ideas. And
A critical thinker.
I mean, what about this? Have you thought about that? And we just, we go back and forth really well. And usually, a lot of times, usually he's right. But, and sometimes I think we're really good partners in that way, that he listens to my feedback and considers the holes I'm poking in his ideas, and he'll come back and he's just got great ideas. He's got amazing ideas. And then we have Philippe plus A, who really has created, helped create this culture within Southerleigh Hospitality Group, and takes our service level to a completely different level, even at the Rim, even at Hot South, when we're more casual and you don't necessarily need or expecting the same service that you would get at Southerleigh, at the Pearl, or at Shushu, or at the Boiler House. But you still get that hospitality that where you feel like you're at home and everybody knows you, and it's creating the unexpected, creating those experiences, and just kind of just creating something unique. And Philippe is great at that, and he really is kind of the face of the company. Everybody knows him. If you're walking through Pearl and you see him, you're going to have that conversation with him, and he knows everybody. He does not forget a name, a face, a favorite drink, a favorite dish. He's amazing like that. And then we have Jerome Sereau, who really is the mind behind our marketing, and gets our name out there, and does a great job at everything that you see in the press, or on the and social media, it's coming from the work that he does. So he does a phenomenal job at that.
Very well balanced.
Very well balanced. And really, and other than me making Jeff's life difficult, I
That's what, you know what, that's sort of what the how mind does. In listening to you talk, it kind of boils down to successful groups seem to be well balanced between the what and the how.
Mhm.
So you first described your husband, Jeff, comes from a culinary background, visionary, understands where he thinks the customer trends are going to be, how to develop concept menu to meet that. So he's sort of the, this is what I think we need to do.
Right.
Rest of the team seems to fit into with the, well, okay, if that's the direction, here's
Let's make it
how
happen.
we need to do it.
Hmm.
So, the basics of the business, the basics of the people, the service, the front of the house, the marketing, the brand development, that's the how. And so, for those of you listeners that are out there thinking about the creation process, try to remember that balance. That the best what person is surrounded by the how people. And there's a little balance there. It makes you question, makes you rethink sometimes, and makes you succeed mostly.
Yeah. Well, and I also, I think the four of us work really well with that, but my day to day is very different. I think my whole purpose is just to support my team
Hmm.
and make sure that, make sure that our bills are paid, make sure that they're paid, and make sure that they have the best benefits possible. So that's not something that they have to worry about on, they're able to come into work every day and give their best and not have these other things that they have to worry about. And just make sure that everybody's getting what they need.
Yeah.
Whether it's an email address or open enrollment, we just make sure that they have everything that they need in order to do the best job possible.
Can we talk about the growing use of technology in our business and how you might be feeling about some of the things that either can increase efficiency, maybe help with labor monitoring, better inventory control? Is there any particular technology that is welcoming, or are you already even past that? And are you guys maybe looking at the utilization of technology for branding or for customer interaction? It seems like it's something a lot of people
There's so
are
much. There's so
considering.
much out there. Yeah, there's so much out there. Right. I think we have a lot of opportunity in that, in that,
Okay.
in that perspective. Um, we do have we use Restaurant 365 for all of our accounting. I hired a PEO to make sure that we had another expert, because I've done a lot of jobs in my lifetime, but ironically, accounting and human resources and benefits, those are the three big jobs that I do now that I did not really have a lot of background in
Yes.
before. And so, you know, we use technology with scheduling. We've got different
Hmm.
applications that we use with training. I know that Scott Simdorn, he's our director of operations, who's over all of our concepts. Another one that has moved up in the ranks. Started as a server, and now he's running all of our concepts. And Scott's been really good at utilizing and finding those good applications that will work well with our culture,
Yeah.
and help us scale, and that will scale with us, and make sure that our training is consistent across all of our brands, because we have so many different brands, like you said, so many different concepts that but we still want to have the same feeling, and the same welcoming, the same everything kind of similar, whether you're at the Rim at Haute South or at Brasserie Monchouchou, with two completely different concepts. It's important to have something that's scalable. And, I think there is some opportunity there. We're starting to dabble in AI a little bit, which is kind of exciting and time saving. I think there's a lot that we can learn from that, without losing our soul of who we are as a company. But yeah, I'm probably not the expert that you want to talk to about technology because I think we're just kind of getting our feet wet in that realm.
Oh, I think many of us are,
Yeah.
but I agree with you though. It seems like it works best for us if we put it into areas that are going to help increase efficiency and save time, whether it's inventory
Absolutely.
control, labor management, enhanced training. I love what we're able to do now at a fraction of the cost that it used to be in moving all of our onboarding, our initial training, our ongoing development, totally video. That's the way people learn today anyway. And that used to be the kind of thing that when I was first talking with companies or first getting people interviewed, only the larger guys, the major chains or regional brands could really afford to do that. Now, guess what? Yeah, thank you, technology. It seems to be able to make things a little bit more accessible, a little bit less expensive, and so smaller independents
Right.
the benefit. But I also kind of like what you said. It's good to meet this challenge. Use things where again, as long as we're still keeping the soul of the company that you mentioned, we've got to make sure that everyone realizes that saving a step or being quick or efficiencies work if they're supporting our brand, not necessarily trying to replace hospitality, because I just don't see the better brands able to do that.
I agree. And I think that we've done a good job at balancing that out so far. I think we can do more also. So I'm excited. There's always something new out there. I've got a million emails in my
Sure.
my inbox right now with the newest application that can be used to take your business to the next level.
Sure. Sure. Well, let's talk about how you guys are meeting today's challenges. This industry is full of concerns, whether it's the initial handling of opening costs that have just got skyrocketed, occupancy costs, or ongoing operations, cost of goods. Is it still a labor shortage? What are the hurdles that you seem to have to clear on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's always something these days. I think we have maintained our labor pretty well. I don't think that I don't think we've had a lot of challenges in that respect. Cost of goods, it's always something that we're keeping our eye on. But and we're seeing obviously everybody is feeling that pinch with the tariffs and things going, the prices going up. With our business, I think it's helpful that most of our products come from in the States. So we're not, a lot actually from Texas. And so we're not feeling it, I think, as much as maybe some of our friends our colleagues are out there. One thing that we've really suffered from in San Antonio in particular is just the lack of tourists and getting
Hmm.
here.
Yeah.
And, to be quite honest, I think we have lost certain demographics coming to some of our restaurants just because they're not comfortable going out as much anymore,
Hmm.
which I think is really sad. And, of course, there's the inflation and all of that. But in the past, we haven't really, I don't think we've really suffered a lot with that. It's more
Hmm.
of what's happening with, we've got a lot of Mexican nationals here in San Antonio, great people, and I think they're just nervous about going out for, obvious
That's
reasons.
a shame. It's not like we need an additional, issue, like that, because what I'm hearing a lot is that issue aside, um, there's economic concerns. There's increased customer competition. Our industry, for some reason, is continually growing, and more people are opening, and we're trying to share customers. And yet, a lot of our guests are going out less often. And so,
Right.
That means we're building maybe revenue a little bit, but maybe it's more price adjustments than it really is guest count. And that's the kind of thing I'm really looking for is, are we really attracting more and more guests each year, or are we leveling due to the increased competition or fear of going out, or simply the economy's too tight?
Yeah, obviously, it's a combination of everything, right? In San Antonio, like I mentioned earlier, we've been here for over 2 decades, and you can tell when we've got the tourists coming in. You can tell when we get to the less desirable months. The January and right after the holidays or during the summertime. Before we used to have two slow months a year, and that was January and September. It was right after the holidays and right after school started.
Yeah,
And now, once summertime hits, it just kind of the numbers in town just kind of tank, and we're slow until we hit about October, when the weather gets better and people want to start coming out, and we get more locals that are coming out and enjoying the moderate temperatures. It just, I remember the days when we would just be, even when it was 105 degrees outside, we'd have the Riverwalk was full, downtown was full, the Pearl was full, and it's just, I'm not seeing that right now.
right.
I know that there's a changing of the guards and the way we, and Visit San Antonio. I'm super excited about the new leadership there, and he's even bringing back some of the old crowd from that was doing such a phenomenal job at selling the city
Good.
several years ago. He's bringing them back from all the different cities that they'd moved to, and so I have a lot of confidence in where we're going
Mhm.
locally with that.
Well, and we just got a little shot in the arm with a whole new tremendous redevelopment project that's approved that I realize might take
Yes,
years to become a reality. But those kinds of big, multifaceted entertainment, living spaces, sports spaces, convention spaces, all together really do create activity. And that's the kind of activity that I know you've seen in other cities that has worked. And
absolutely.
sounds
It's
like
so
it's coming your
exciting.
way.
I cannot wait. Let's just survive the construction and get past that. Because there's a lot going on in this city with construction wise, and we're all kind of, we're all having trouble with that too. But you have to do it. We're a growing city. But yes, that Project Marvel, that was a huge win for the hospitality industry here in San Antonio. It's
Good luck
exciting.
with it.
Thank you.
Well, listen, Allison, it's going to be crystal ball time now. I'd really like to maybe have you just give us your opinion of how you see your restaurant group in the next 3 to 5 years.
Mhm.
What are the things you'd like to accomplish? Are there additional concepts we might see? Is there, I don't know, some other type of change or growth? Where do you think you'll be?
Well, I'm super excited about our next concept that's opening in the airport. We are going to have a Southerleigh in Terminal B at the San Antonio airport. And we should start construction on that pretty soon, probably either this month or next month, and open by springtime.
Wow.
So that's coming up, and we've always got some irons in the fire. Not ready to talk about them yet, and
Sure.
but we're always looking, we're always talking to people about our next concept. But yeah, right now we're focusing on the airport, so that's super exciting for us.
Yes, it is, and good luck with it. This is going to be something that you'll operate yourself, or is this one of the more, brand share licensing kind of a thing where the airport operator will run it for you?
Absolutely not that way. We have a stake in this, and that's the only way we would do it, is if we were able to operate it ourselves. And so we'll have a manager that's been with us and knows our culture, and um, you know, is able, we're gonna be translating it over into that airport, and we've got, it's going to be a challenge, but we have amazing partners that this is not the first time that they've done this, and that we'll be able to guide through, and it is going to be a learning curve on both sides, right? Our big partner is going to have to learn how to do things the way that we do it in order to create that experience in the airport, and to translate it from a curbside restaurant to the airport. And then we're going to have to learn how to manage things in a very, very different setting, and it's different people and different clientele, and which we're all going to have to be flexible, and there's going to be some learning on both ends. But it's super exciting. Yeah.
And it is. It's a great opportunity. I have spent a lot of time in that niche personally. I love the idea of having home recognized independent brands represented, rather than a couple of decades ago when really airports were very boring and it was nothing but, chains. So yes, I know to what you speak with the adjustment. The idea of a traveling public is a whole lot different than customer off the street. But I am excited to hear that this is what you're doing. Wish you the best.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, everyone, we're going to have to wrap up now, but we have been listening to Allison Balfour, who is a co-founder and one of the leaders of a brilliant team at Southerleigh Hospitality Group. If you're not in San Antonio, it seems like it's a great reason to go. Multiple restaurant concepts, all doing well. You've listened to her talk about the people building, the tips on customer service, and how we can maybe balance technology and yet still be customer eyeball to eyeball driven. These are wonderful principles. Allison, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing them with us.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And for everybody else, go make it a great shift. And I hope that we can cross paths again really quick on another Corner Booth. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on the Corner Booth. We'll be back next Tuesday with more inspiration, insights, and industry best practices to help you engage your team, delight your guests, and grow your business.